All right, so welcome to the first episode of No Prep, No Problem, where today I asked, what if we had perfect recall? Unfortunately, things took a turn. One of us got bit by something, causing an insanely expensive six-figure hospital bill. Another lost their memory, and one of us almost wrecked their ankle. It's weird, it's painful, and exactly why we hit record. Let's get into it. You guys want to just jump into it, or is there anything else exciting going on in your lives?
Exciting going on. I mean, I've got like a to-do list that's like 17 items long going on in my life, but I mean, we don't have to like cover that.
We don't have to, but we can.
That's
That's the whole point. This is our podcast. We can do whatever we want with it, man.
fair.
Hold on. I'll skim the fast version. I'll skim the fast version.
Oh, how long is the fat?
So,
Wait, hang on. Before you start, hang on.
okay.
All right, you ready?
I have to pull.
You ready? You ready?
Ready for what? Wait.
Go. Give me the fast version.
Okay.
Your time's counting.
First thing. Okay, first podcast session, Monday, February 10th, 10 a.m., which is where we are right now.
Perfect.
Today at 5 o'clock. Today at 5 o'clock, I got my H&R block appointment. I've got my Valentine's Day Discord. I mean, not Discord. My Valentine's Day D&D hangout
Ooh,
this
he's gonna be
Wednesday.
romancing someone over a dragon.
No.
Very nice.
I gotta apply to the license center for a new job and look into other new jobs as well. I need to buy a new heating element for the stove because it's messed up. I need to go to FedEx for all my printouts for NCDOR. I gotta resend my request to NCDOR. Gotta return my white shorts. Gotta return my extra space lock to get my $20 back. Gotta call Target Corporate and complain about all the different things wrong with the company, both my store and the company at large. Also gotta call Whole Foods to make sure that it's okay that I can work at both Target and Whole Foods. Got to call UNCW, UNCW cash office, UNCW film department, UNCG cash office. Call Inver Hills Community College admissions office. Look up free clinics that you, Daniel, had told me about that I need to do so I can get my forms so I can send my stuff for the school stuff. Got to call SSI for follow up with all my stuff with my court date on that. I have someone, I need someone to teach me practicing driving because I just got my learner's permit. Yay. Still need to install DaVinci Resolve. I need to get my quarters for laundry, and I need to resend my shop records request and do more job hunting. Boom.
Dude, that was a minute 30 seconds.
Yeah, a minute 30 seconds of everything I got going on.
That's not terrible, but I don't know how you're gonna get that all done today.
Pretty good.
I said this week.
Oh, sure, week. Yeah.
I have 4 days off in a row. I have 5 days off in a row right now. 5 days off in a row because so.
That's a
Next
long
5
list,
days.
though.
That's the long list.
It
Can I
is.
do all that in the next 5? Wait. Do you think I can do all that in the next 5 days?
I think you could do it all in
No,
one day if you wanted to. You just actually have to
no,
do it all.
0 chance.
Oh, 100% chance. Okay, that's it. In 5 days, we'll check back in. What's
Okay.
5 days from now? That's what, Saturday?
Friday. It's Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, we'll check back in on Valentine's Day. We'll do a special Valentine's
Get all that stuff done.
podcast. What about you, Scott? What you got going on?
Nothing.
Compared to all
The
that?
exact opposite. Nothing. Yeah, I'm off work today. You know.
Okay, well, let's get a little bit of small talk out of you. Matt may have seen some of this because his brother gambles. How do you feel about the Super Bowl?
Oh my gosh. It was very anticlimactic. It was a blowout from the beginning.
Okay.
So I would say I was pulling for the Eagles, but they just dominated from the beginning. That's cool, but considering I'm not a fan of either team, I wanted to see a close game, and that was not it. Like that was probably the sounds a little harsh, but that may have been one of the most boring Super Bowls I've seen just because it was domination. So, did you guys happen to watch or?
No.
I watched passively randomly because I live with my middle brother Andrew, whose life is sports, and sports.
Or video
So,
games. He does video games, and he has his own
and
YouTube
video
channel.
games. Sorry, and
He does have
YouTube.
his
So
own YouTube.
sports, YouTube, and video games.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
you do those numbers. And then so I watched some of it. Watched a couple of funny commercials, and but Domination made me think of a random new. It's my favorite mini game in Super Mario Jamboree. Anyway. No,
All
I
right.
watched it passively.
Well, as you
So, did you like
guys,
the halftime show?
oh, I heard Kendrick Lamar did someone dirty.
He did a my brother
He-
explained it to me, he doesn't like a rapper or something, and so he did an inappropriate song where he makes fun of said person or something, but I'm like,
Yeah, he
how
did
can
that
this
one.
be appropriate for, like, a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, maybe he won't perform that one song. The song was a diss against Drake. I don't know the whole backstory. Drake dissed him, and then he, shot back at him, whatever. And yeah, he's had such a huge year, and he did perform. He performed many songs. That was one of them, and I was a little surprised they let him do that one, even though it was so popular. But just you have all ages of people watching the Super Bowl, so I was a little somewhat surprised. But he did a great job, I thought. I'm not like a super fan of the guy. I mean, and that's just because I haven't listened to a ton of his music. I've known the guy since he first came onto the scene, 12, 13 years ago or whatever. Just haven't listened to a ton of his stuff, but I've always had a positive, outlook on him. But I think he did very well. I mean, he was just pretty much, just rapping the entire time. I mean, just nonstop. It was impressive. So good performance.
I heard it was really short, like 10
It was
minutes.
it was pretty short compared to others, but that might be because I mean he's just like chopping, dude, like rapping fast
I
for
thought 10 minutes is, like, the
non.
average time.
I,
Isn't
maybe
a
for
halftime show
you.
10 minutes?
I, mm,
We're not talking about the Super Bowl anymore, are we?
I don't think so. Anyways,
10 minutes
um,
is pretty good.
but yeah. So, I mean, did 50 Cent come flying out of the rafters looking like he had eaten himself or anything? Like anything crazy like that happen? Dude, you have to
No,
admit that year when 50 Cent just came out of the rafters and no one was expecting it, he looked like he was breathing hard.
right. He's a big guy. He's a big guy.
He
Uh,
is.
it wasn't like the Creed. What year was that? 2001 with
No,
the
no Janet Jackson
no Janet.
outfit mishaps.
No, it was pretty tame minus that one song. There's a couple lines in there that are a little some could say a little much, you know what I mean? And they didn't blur it or bleep it, whatever. I mean, he did it, so that was a little surprising. But yeah, nothing too crazy. No one swinging down from the rafters like Creed, arms wide open style. So, you
Okay.
know,
All right.
Wait,
that was another epic
I thought
performance.
they bleeped one word at the end. Like, he did his, like,
Oh, did
sign
they?
off. Yeah, he did, like, his hand gesture to sign off to, like, say bye, like, or whatever, but, like, they bleeped whatever he said. I don't know if it was part of the song or if it was just him saying, like, you know,
Oh,
bye, whoever, but they bleeped something.
No idea.
Yeah.
I did not get to enjoy this halftime show. I'm a poor person and don't have cable or whatever.
oh, yeah. I actually was able to watch it on. Dude, it was awesome. You guys have heard of Tubi, the streaming service?
I did hear about that.
To be.
Yeah, they did it. I'd never used it before, but I went on to Fox and they said that you could stream it completely free on Tubi. All you had to do was download it, download the app, for free and everything. So I got to watch it for free. Granted, it was on my phone, but that was still, you know, that's cool because I get to take it around with me when I'm moving and stuff. Um, so yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, and it probably got a lot of people, thinking about Tubi now, and put the name out there. So I think that was probably a good move on their part.
Okay.
So
Well, for giving us his entire spiel of what he needs to get done in his entire life in the next 5 days, Matt's going to get 5 points. Scott, for your enormous amount of knowledge for the Super Bowl, we're going to give you 3 points today.
okay, that's fair.
Okay. Cool. So I have a topic that very much interests me. Okay. So
Okay.
let me give you a premise with this. Back in 9th grade, right, I ended up slipping and slamming my head into the side of a shower. Thus, I ended up having memory problems, at which point in time I was
I've heard this
diagnosed
story.
with
Yeah.
post-concussive syndrome and I had amnesia. I couldn't remember who I was for several days. I'm being told that I was actually up and walking around and talking to people within minutes of hitting my head. I don't remember it at all. And then a year later, almost to the day, I fell off a car and hit my head again, thus just cementing my memory issues. But the question I have for you guys and what I want to discuss today is like what is how does your memory work, and how would it change if you had perfect recall or eidetic memory or whatever you want to call it? Like if you could remember everything that's ever happened to you, everything you've ever read, everything you've ever watched, everything you've ever talked about or done, if you could remember everything down to the last detail, how would it change your life?
Hmm.
Who wants to go first?
I mean, I think it'd be funny if I went first on this one, just because
Go for it.
my brain is semi already there. Because
Oh,
Okay.
I remember hangouts down to the outfits that we were wearing, Daniel, from like 15 years ago. Like, I remember the day
Really?
yes, I remember the day that we didn't get, or y'all didn't get all of your pizza ordered that you had ordered at home, and it took forever, and they never got it to you, and then they finally got it to you, and it was completely wrong. So we all went out to the pizza place, and we looked outside, like into
oh
the
my
store, outside the
God.
window, and we just stared at them.
We went down to
And we
Domino's and we
just
just stood
stared at
there
them,
and
and
stared
we
at it.
just
I'd
stood there and
forgotten
stared at
all
them like
about
this.
that. And then I
Like,
went
we just look at me,
inside.
look at
I
me. We just stared at them like this.
I remember going
And then you know what we
inside and going, you see all those people outside? They never got their pizza. And we
pizza.
just stood there and stared at
We just
them.
stared
They
there.
didn't know what to do.
But Daniel, you ready for this one? We stared at them like this, and Daniel, you went in and you did that spleen and you came out. But when we did that hangout where we went and saw them at the pizza, Daniel, you were wearing that Marvel t-shirt that I got you for Christmas.
Oh, with all the
And I
characters on
remember
it?
all the characters on it. And I remember that from like 20 years ago,
Oh,
down
I've
to the
seen you
shirt
wear.
you
You
were
still
wearing
wear
on the
that
day.
shirt.
No. I actually don't know if I have that one still.
Probably don't.
It's a
Gosh,
white shirt
that
with
was
like
20
all the
years ago.
characters on it. It was pretty
No,
wild.
it was black. It was black with
A
all
Oh,
the
black
different
one?
Marvel characters.
I thought it was
I
It
white.
was
was
a black
thinking
one.
dark gray. Yeah.
I
Don't.
got it from Target. It was a black one with a whole bunch of Marvel characters on it. It was like
I'll,
all the main Marvel
I'll have to
characters.
see if I still have that. Because
And it
I
was
still have
like
some of those things.
it was like the first year I knew you. And like I remember
Go ahead.
the shirt you were wearing on that day from 20 years ago. Like
Two
that is how sharp my
points.
memory.
2 points for bringing up Domino's. Holy crap. Oh my God. I know we have history, Matt. We go back like to ninth grade itself. And
We
that's
go
not what
back.
I
This
was
is
trying
our
to get to,
20
but
year.
oh,
It's our 20-year anniversary this year. We go back to August, September-ish of 2004. It's
Wow.
2025 now.
that's
Yeah.
that is quite a ways.
But yeah, so no, with high functioning autism, I have a heightened memory center in my brain. So, if I had the memory, like your question you just asked, if I had the where I can remember absolutely everything, I'd only be missing a couple few things right now.
So not much different, huh?
Not much. I mean, absolutely everything. Then I would remember what I had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner exactly a year ago from today, which I don't remember that,
It's
right?
amazing that he says that he
Right.
remembers all this stuff because I've definitely asked him questions. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't remember ever asking you this. Are you asking me that? And I'm like, yes, I have. I know I have. I have given you advice on very specific things, telling you exactly how to do and say stuff, and you don't remember.
Yes,
Selective
I don't
memory.
It
remember because my
is.
brain thinks that it was superfluous data and deletes it.
But the
It's
shirt I
not
was
my
wearing when I
fault
went to
that
confront the
happened.
people at Domino's wasn't
The Dominoes.
superfluous.
The pizza's important.
It is. Don't get me wrong.
Yes,
That shit's delicious.
it is.
And the fact that Matt couldn't eat in the first place is even funnier.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what's important to remember? You're my favorite deputy. I remember that. Do you remember that? There it is. There it is. There's the face.
You're my favorite. Is that like a Toy Story reference? What is that?
Yes. Do you remember Corey? We hung out one day at your house, and Corey had someone had some sort of like a GI Joe, like a cool looking something they got for Christmas, like an action figure, whatever. And then Corey has like a Woody doll from Toy Story, and so he wrapped the Woody doll around the GI Joe dude and went, "You're my favorite deputy," and it was so funny because the Woody doll was like talking like this, like Do you remember?
That's
Do you
not that
remember?
old. If what you're talking about, oh my God, Scott, have you ever heard of Pedo Woody?
No, I don't think so.
Oh God. Okay, hang on. Let me see if I can find a picture of it
Wait, wait,
in
wait.
stream
This
real
was high
quick.
school days, though. This was high school days.
This was high school? Are you sure?
We were at your house, and it was high school days. It was you, me, and Corey was over, and Corey did this funny
'Cause I
thing
don't
where
think
he
it was
grabbed.
Corey. I think it was Richard.
I swear it was Corey, but it could have been Richard. Could have been Richard. It could have been Richard. That's true. It could have been Richard. I don't know why I'm remembering that it was Corey.
Hang on. Let's see if I can't get this stupid picture back
I might even
here.
have the picture. I might even have the picture
And
buried in my hard drive somewhere. I don't know if I
open
have it though.
image tab. There we go. Oh, well, that still didn't work how I wanted it to. All right, that's fine. We'll just show Scott this if I can stream it. Click the little thing there. Oh, it's all falling apart now. Hang on. So for anybody listening, it's this really weird like Woody doll. It looks just like Woody from Toy Story, except his eyes are very slanty and narrow, and he has just the giant smile. It's very, very unsettling, to be honest. Very unsettling.
What was that top left?
You don't want to know.
Yeah, you don't wanna know.
Anyways, we don't talk about those kinds of things. So Scott. Oh wait, hang on. Matt, you're gonna get one more point for the craziness that was Pedo Woody coming out of your head.
Stop there.
All right, Scott. So take me down memory lane for you. Let me hear about some memories or how everything feels to you or how things would change.
I think it would be, I don't know, I think it'd be kind of weird to remember all that. Like I'll remember random non-important things, but then like short term, I couldn't tell you something that happened a week ago. You know what I mean? It's weird. I don't know. I think I'd prefer it this way. I don't think I'd want to remember everything. I think that'd be a little much. I already have enough going on upstairs. You know what I mean? And I just don't want my mind going all over the place too much. But yeah, I wouldn't say I have the best memory, but yeah.
Oh, would it not be just the most amazing thing though to be like, oh yeah, on June 22nd of 2016 at 7:30 in the morning, I was eating crumpets and biscuits. That's the same thing actually. Anyways, wouldn't that be amazing? Just be like, yes, I remember exactly what I was doing at this time and place and everything.
It would be cool, yeah. I think it would be cool, but yeah, like I said, I think it'd be a little too much, too much to keep up with all that. Plus, then you'd remember all the bad times too, and it's like some of those things you want to forget. So I think that could be kind of scary. So sorry that you remember so much, Matt.
Yeah, tell me about it. You're right.
Right.
It would be hard to remember I don't want to remember my copperhead snake bite or my bee stings. That's pain I don't want to remember.
For bringing up painful memories,
Really?
-1 point. We're only talking about happy memories today.
Oh, okay.
Copperhead.
Oh yeah, no, he got bit by a snake. He got stung by bees. He's fallen down some rocks. He's lived a varied life.
It was an actual copperhead.
Oh yeah, no, dude, like it wasn't
Wow.
it wasn't the song. It was a snake.
Copperhead Road. It wasn't a road. It was a snake.
I'm glad you got that, Scott. 2 points for getting my Copperhead reference.
I didn't get it.
Thank you.
I didn't get it.
All right.
What so how did that go with the Copperhead? Would you have to go get like anti-venom or how does that work?
Yeah, but I had to get a lot. You know how you can get like the 1,000 chickenpox reaction to like chickenpox? I had that version, but with copperhead snake bite. So
it did more to you than like the average person, or
yeah,
like
the average person needs 1 to 2 vials of antivenom. I had to have 10.
10.
Yeah, it was wild.
My gosh.
Yeah.
And how does that work? Is that like 10 straight in back to back to back, or is that over the course of like days, or
No,
how does that work?
No, it's like they have it in like the IV thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And it just through my system through the IV in the hospital.
Oh, so they put it all in, basically ran it through at once.
It's like an hour, a couple hours for it to go through.
Do you remember how much it cost?
$102,000.
No shot.
Yep, $10,000 a vial times 10 is
way too much.
Oh my gosh.
Way too much.
And how much
Dude,
did
what?
it end up costing you in the end? Do you remember?
$0.00. Bing. Because the first hospital messed up, and because they messed up, the second hospital then had to inherit my much bigger. It probably would have been 1 to 2 vials had the first hospital not screwed up. So I applied for
Oh,
charity care, and the second hospital wrote it off. And then the snake specialist of the second hospital called the first hospital and had a very not fun conversation with them about it. It's like, how dare you not do this correctly?
oh my gosh! And don't you have to get that stuff like shortly after, within like an hour or something? Like, I mean, very quickly. Like,
Mine was the next day, unfortunately. That's why it was such an extreme case.
But that's not
wow.
like when you went to the hospital, right? Didn't you go to the hospital that day? That day you got bit?
I'm gonna make something up. I got bit on Monday. I went to the first hospital.
See, there's that
They
perfect
said
memory of
no.
his.
Yep.
I said I'm gonna make this up. Let's say it was Monday. I went on. I got bit Monday night. Went on Monday night. First hospital said it was a dry bite. Sent me home. I went to
Oh,
sleep. I woke up the next morning. My leg was swelled to 26 inches around, and I'm a 30 waist. And we go second hospital. Here we go.
dude, that's intense.
hmm
Okay, so that's how they messed up. They said it was a dry bite, and it
They
in
didn't
fact
check for
wasn't.
blood. They didn't check for platelet levels, which is what you're supposed to do. In case anyone ever get bit by a snake, go to the hospital right away. Have them check your blood. Have them check for your platelet levels. If your platelet levels are dropping, that means you have venom in your system, and you need anti-venom now. If you don't have your platelet levels dropping, that means that it was a non-venomous snake.
All right, and for that snake PSA, Matt gets one more point.
Wow, that's yeah, that's intense, man. You know, I'm terrified of snakes, so
So wait,
you
hang
know
on a
that's
second. He got bit by a snake. What's the well, I wouldn't call that Matt's worst injury. But what's your worst injury,
Like,
Scott?
ooh, I want to hear this.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I, I wish I went first because it's going to seem like nothing compared to a snake bite, you know. But I remember the worst thing I think that happened to me was I think I was like 15 or 16. I was in high school, and I remember my next door neighbor's dog had gotten out, and she would run away. So I was like trying my best to go like grab her, but I knew the dog very well. A very nice dog. So I went and I was running, and I chased her through my front yard. She cut through my front yard, and I was running like almost full speed, and I stepped into a hole and completely screwed up my ankle. Like I think it was broken, or something. It was more than just a sprain, I believe. Um, and I remember after I stepped and I heard a pop, I rolled down the hill, which was a pretty steep hill, and I stood up and everything was just completely purple, like it was like purple and yellow, like it was my head was messed up, dude.
Your
And
head.
Wait, your
yeah,
head.
well, right, and I think that was just from breaking something,
Oh,
like
you
the
just got
pressure.
disoriented?
Yeah, right,
Okay,
exactly. I was
okay,
just
okay.
disoriented. I didn't really hit my head that bad, but I
Yeah, that's
remember
how that came
rolling
across.
down
I'm
the
like, hang
hill.
on.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
hurt your ankle and your head hurt. It's like,
And,
what?
yeah, and I may have hit my head too. I don't remember all that. So yeah, I stood up and it was like I was dizzy. Everything was purple. Felt like I was basically about to like black out, and the pain was horrible.
From the
Anyway,
pain.
then I
You were about
sat
to
on
black out
a.
from the pain. Okay.
It may have been from the pain. I'm not sure, but it was intense. So then I ended up after I'd rolled down the hill and stood up. I rolled down the hill towards the other neighbor's house that was on the other side, not the house that the dog had run from, but the other neighbor on the other side. And I sat on their uh, little steps right outside their door to get myself together. And then my stepdad came around the corner. He was my stepdad at the time, came around the corner, and he was like, dude, I could hear your ankle pop from around the corner of the house. Like he was probably 20,
Wow.
30 feet away around the house. And yeah, he heard it pop, and I was like, "Oh shit!" So never went to the doctor to fix it. Someone that worked with him was pretty like used to work in, was a medic or something. Like she knew more than the average person, and she came over. She was luckily about to come over anyway, and she checked out my ankle, and it was like swollen and purple. Looking back at it, I probably should have gone to the hospital, but we couldn't couldn't really afford that, which is what's nuts about hearing your $100,000 worth of anti venom. I mean, that's insane. You know what I mean? I'd never be able to pay that off, but anyway, yeah. So that was probably the worst thing that I can think of that happened to me. And then there was another time when I was a kid. This was probably 3 or 4 years before then. So I mean, I was probably like 12 or something. I remember I was riding on the front of like a four-wheeler, like an ATV, and we hit it was at nighttime, and we hit a dirt pile, and it was a pretty tall dirt pile. But I remember flying off of that thing at like 12, 13 years old, something like that, and luckily didn't get hurt too bad or whatever. It was more of a shock because just picture this: it's nighttime, you're sitting on the front of an ATV. You don't realize there's a huge dirt pile there. Next thing you know, you're just flying through the air. You're like, what the heck? um so yeah, knock on wood, I've been pretty lucky with injuries like that. But yeah, I'd say that ankle was the worst thing. Probably should have gotten it checked out, but it ended up feeling much better after 2 or 3 weeks, a month or so. And ever since then, it does seem like my ankle's like, I don't want to say screwed up, but like I can hear it like it.
It
I
clicks
can
now, doesn't it?
what's that?
It clicks now, doesn't it? Because mine
It,
clicks.
it it clicks, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and sometimes you can even hear it like when I get up and walk, you'll just hear it click like every single step for like 10 steps or whatever. Nothing that really gives me too much trouble to this day, unless I was say if I was probably like working out, lifting a ton of weight or something like that, it might give me some issues. But yeah, that was probably the worst.
All right.
And the pain was it was incredibly painful. Like it was crazy.
Well, for the
So
pop heard around the world, as well as the minor in avionics you
right.
got, we're going to give you 2 points.
Nice, well
Good
played.
avionics.
Thank
That was
you.
great. That was great.
So my worst injury is probably the second time I hit my head when I fell off the car.
The car, yeah.
I didn't actually explain that whole story. So, back in 10th grade, I was getting off the school bus. My brother, being a year ahead of me and having his driver's license, was driving home from school. I took the school bus because one of my friends, was going to be moving soon. I want to spend as much time with them as I could. So, and we got off at the same bus stop.
Oh,
So I got off the bus. She went towards her house. I started walking towards mine, and we got dropped off at the very front of the neighborhood. All right, so it was still another 5-minute walk to get to where I live. Well, when you first drive into my neighborhood, it's a yield sign, and it turns left or right. You can't just keep going straight. So he pulled in. One of the other guys who was getting off the bus ended up, he was walking with us as well. My brother just happened to pull in like 2 seconds later after the bus, dropped us all off. And so it was one of the neighborhood kids. Him and my brother were friends. He ended up, my brother stopped. Dude hopped in the front seat. And me being the idiot I am, I ended up just jumping on the hood. So I'm sitting there on the hood, holding onto my backpack in front of me. And he takes off. I was told by the other guy that he hit 35 miles an hour, and then instead of slowing down and yielding, turning. Now, I don't think he was actually going 35. I would have been hurt way worse. But he ended up going, turning to the left. I flew off the right side of the car and smashed my shoulder and head into the ground. I broke this collarbone in 3 places. And when I hit my head, I don't remember anything from that day at all. I don't remember talking to my friends. I don't remember anything that happened, with the exception of lying in the backseat of my brother's car, looking up, being very confused why I was back there, and him just punching the ceiling over and over again. Apparently, he grabbed me by my right arm, which is the one that I just broke, my collarbone. He pulled, trying to pick me up, thinking that I was fine and just messing with him. Everyone around heard another pop, which means that it was already broken, and he broke it more.
Mm.
And now I'm in the backseat of his car. He's punching it because he knows he fucked up. And now he has to go home and tell mom and dad, hey, I hurt Daniel. So they throw me into a different car, drive me to the hospital, and yeah, they ended up sending me home without fixing my collarbone. So for the next like I had my arm in a sling for the next month. I was complaining about it, and finally my parents took me back, and they're like, "This would have never set because it was broken in three pieces. This middle piece had turned sideways."
Oh wow,
Yeah. So
that sounds painful.
it sucked because
I've
anytime I moved
never
my
heard that
arm, it
part.
was just bone scraping on bone and all kinds of good stuff.
Oh, and
Yeah.
and you're fine now?
Oh, no, not at all. I'm still very broken. They put a pin in it,
Still
they
gives
took
you
the pin
trouble.
back out, and now I'm actually missing part of the bone because it was already dead bone, so it just kind of ate itself away. I should probably have had a metal plate put in, but that never happened. Um, Funny enough, about 3 or 4 years later, my brother was trying to do a flip throw in for soccer. Okay, so soccer ball, trying to do a flip throw in. When he hit the ball on the ground, trying to do the flip, the ground was wet. He slipped and
No,
smashed his shoulder into the ground, breaking the same collarbone.
no way.
Yes way. And they actually put a plate and pins because his felt like sandpaper. He came home and it's like it was crunchy. And my father was like, hey,
Oh
come here and feel this. And I'm like, why? He's like, what's this feel like? I'm sitting there pushing on my brother's collarbone. It's just like crunch, crunch, crunch. I'm like, oh, it was completely shattered.
wow.
Now, on top of that, come to find out, my brother and I had a genetic predisposition to breaking our collarbones, specifically the right one. My father, when he was younger, he lived on a farm for a little period of time, and the cute girl next door came and hung out, or he went to hang out at her farm. I'm not sure which exactly. But there was a goat chained to a tree that they were talking underneath, and the goat kept walking around the tree, and the chain
Okay.
kept getting wrapped around my father's legs without him knowing it. And the girl would just step over the chain because she was paying attention, and he clearly wasn't. Well, at some point in time, the goat pulled, his ass fell straight over, and he broke his right collarbone.
Oh, you can't make this up, man.
Like father, like son.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're hoping that that doesn't happen when I have a son. My daughter, on the other hand, she should be fine. But if I have a son, he's gonna be screwed. So screwed. I give myself
Just
no
Yeah.
points because that's just not fair. Anyway,
just one tiny note on that before we jump to whatever next topic is. Whenever you have a son, perhaps that your son on the right collarbone can just always wear like some sort of really cool looking medieval armored plate, just for
Yeah.
protection.
that might be a thing. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
So this was all supposed to just be one topic. I don't know how we got to injuries. Oh, it all stemmed off your memory of your snake bite.
Memories.
Oh, you just said that my snake bite
See?
wasn't my worst injury. What's my worst injury?
I thought the bees was way worse for you, wasn't it?
The snake,
Oh,
the
the
bees.
way
Okay,
you
so
described that made it sound way more painful than that snake bite ever did.
so the bee stings was 50 yellow jacket stings, a full body experience all over your whole body,
Yeah,
and that was not fun. And did I cry from that? Yes, but it was like it was a cry, and it was really painful, and it happened. But it was imagine you're experiencing 100% of ultra bad pain, but you've got it split up across your whole body versus 100% of pain in one singular spot. That one singular spot is going to hurt way more. But what happened was with the snake bite, it wasn't so much the actual bite, that wasn't the painful part. The painful part was when I got back from the hospital the second time after I had the antivenom. It's like there was all this like residual, I don't know, pus inside my leg. I don't know how to describe it.
that's probably
Um,
accurate.
all
Some
the
kind of
residual
visceral.
whatever, yeah, in my leg. And so when I like if my legs are out like this in the car, right? And then when we opened the van door to get me into the house, I finally took my legs and put them down like that, which I hadn't done like I think since the hospital. Um the most single biggest pain I've ever been in my life was the rush of terrible pain that was. I mean, I was absolutely crying my eyes out, screaming. I couldn't respond. And so my middle brother Andrew, being the built like a linebacker, huge dude that he is, he just freaking picked me up and carried me into the house and rushed me to get me on my bed to where my legs could be flat again to where I wasn't in pain. And that 30 seconds of him running me into the house was the worst pain of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
All from a snake. They're such harmless creatures most of the time. And actually,
God, they're
even
terrible.
copperheads, typically you can get away without
Unless
having an antivenom, depending on how bad it is.
unless you step on their house that's a giant log outside your house that you didn't know was the house of a snake, and then your snake's like, "Hey, you hit my house."
Fun
Yeah.
fact about snakes, baby snakes are actually way more dangerous than adult snakes.
Yes,
Correct.
they are.
I got bit by a really big adult snake, so it must have been
They
really
were
upset.
really pissed.
Yeah. The
It must have been
old baby
when you were
dump, they
young
call
or
it. The baby
something.
snake dump.
Baby dump.
The baby snake dump. Venom dump.
Because I
Oh,
have the picture of the
Yeah.
snake, I think it's the same snake. I never saw the snake, but then I took a picture of a snake outside my house like a few days later, and I was like, "This must
Could
be
have
the
been the
snake."
same one.
and you didn't chop its head off?
No, I didn't want to get bit again. I have
Oh,
to do the whole thing all over again.
That's a fair point, you know?
it is. It is.
Thank you.
When we were
Um,
younger, my father and uncle chopped a snake's head off with a shovel, trying to make sure it wouldn't bite any of his kids, but that's neither here nor there, I guess.
oh yeah, they used to take like shotguns and just blow their heads off and just God, it was intense. But I would like to add, Matt, you actually reminded me with the bee thing. I don't know how I forgot about this, but the you remember was saying that the dog came from the neighbor's house when I hurt my ankle. Well, that same neighbor, uh, I was doing some work for a couple years later after the ankle thing happened. So I was like 18 at the time, and it was my stepbrother at the time went into her backyard, and out of the blue, um, we didn't even know a nest was around, but it was a ton of wasps. I mean, it covered me and him. They just started attacking us. It was probably bystanders told us that it was probably like 50 wasps on each of us. I mean, it was in like 40, 50 on each of us. It was intense.
Oh,
So I remember me and my stepbrother, and we're around the same age and stuff. I remember us just sprinting from the backyard to the front yard, bees still all over us, mind you. And then we just start like taking off all of our clothes because they got inside of our shirts and clothes and stuff too. So we took off like our shorts, our shirt, basically took everything off except for like our boxers. And at the time someone was walking up like 20 feet away from us with their dog, just enjoying their day, like walking their dog, and then they just randomly look over and see like two dudes just sprinting, screaming taking our clothes off. We're almost completely naked at that point, like, so I just point of views can be hilarious. I'm sure that was probably an interesting time for them, but yeah, it was brutal, dude. They just stung the shit out of us, and yeah, I mean, we were covered, man. It was, and we felt a little weird. So I'm sure all of that, all those stings adding up, and at the same time, probably was a little much of an overload. But yeah, seeing back to the memory thing, that's why I don't like remembering everything. So,
I mean,
but
so
see,
it's
do you
so
you know.
actually
easy to
remember the
remember that.
pain, or do you actually just like you remember that it hurt,
Um,
but you don't actually remember the pain, do you?
Right. I couldn't tell you if it was like if I had to guess. I mean, on a scale from 1 to 10, it was probably like a 7 or something. So pretty painful. But I would say that the ankle was more painful than the bees. However, the bees I think were a more scary. Probably a more scary scenario
Hmm.
in general. Like that was terrifying.
All right. Well, for dealing with flying insects with swords, you each get 50 points for each sting you got.
Okay.
Because, why not? You had to deal with that pain each. Like, holy crap.
Dude, it was intense.
I do agree with you, Scott. I think the bee stings were a more scary experience, at least for me, because with the snake bite, I actually didn't know if it was the type of snake that you're dead within 5 minutes.
Right.
So that was my whole life flashed before my eyes once I realized that it was a snake bite, and I went, "Oh my gosh!" And
Yeah.
like one of my
You
brothers was there,
assume the
and I was like,
worst.
"Dude, in case anything happens, and in case I die, like I love you, and like you're such a great brother, and everything." Then that was scary for like 5 minutes, but then it was over. But like with the other one, what actually happened was I was on top of a 15-story waterfall with one of my best friends, and his mom is the type of allergic to bees that she needs like an EpiPen, et cetera, et cetera. So
Sure.
he had never gotten stung by like bees to like know if he was needed the same kind of treatment, and so like we didn't know if he was gonna make it or not with the amount of stings he had as well. So like I was like I was scared for myself, not really, but I was really scared for him, like really, really, really scared for him. Luckily, he was not allergic in that one.
And maybe that's the part of my mind that like switched over because I have terrible memory. I remember that the bee sting being a more traumatic thing for you than the snake ever was. Like the snake, yes, it was a bad thing for you, but I don't know why, but you made the bee sting sound so much worse, and that's probably why is because you almost lost a friend from it.
Yes, and it was we as soon as the stings happened, we were running down the way the waterfall was. Like you had to climb up all these like rocks and everything and like hills, and it was really, really hard to get up there. And so we were very careful with our climb up to the waterfall, but because we were being attacked, we were like running down this, I want to say like 85-degree hill. I kid you not, it was almost 90 degrees. And we are running, and we have trees and rocks and slippery slopes and everything in front of us. And we were having to be mad careful as we're flying down this hill. I mean, we could have slipped, hit our head, got hurt, fell, whatever. Could have died throughout the whole entire climb down. And then we get to the bottom, and there's like like you have a waterfall, and it falls like this, and then there's like the big pool of water.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dude, we gotta jump in the water. We gotta jump in the water to wash all the bees off. And then he was like, no, no, don't do that, because if you jump into the water, when you come back up to breathe for air, all the bees will be hovering, waiting for you. And he's like, and people have like apparently died from that or whatever. And so he's like, no, 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 it's a trap. Don't do it. And I was like, really? Like as I'm being stung and as I'm looking for relief, which would be jumping in the water, you're telling me not to jump in the water and to just keep running. So
Well,
it was a very
Yeah.
yeah.
being a competitive person that I am,
Nice.
thank you. I got stung by a bee several times, I'm sure, but there's only one that really sticks out in my mind. It's a simple story. In my grandmother's backyard, she had a boat, just a little fishing boat, right? Turned upside down, as you do, to make sure it doesn't fill up with water and everything. And I was out there messing around, and I picked it up, and a single bumblebee flew out, landed right here on my eye, and
No.
stung me right under the eye. That's it. That's my whole story. That's it. That is my bee story. So I will be leaving that one to myself.
I believe in you, Daniel.
I don't. But that's
Hey,
it.
No, that was
Scott, you don't realize what you just did there. I believe in it. Get our tongue
Oh.
right under the eye.
nice.
But that's my entire bee experience. Other than like I know I had random bee stings throughout the years. I'm a kid. Well, I was a kid.
No.
Anyways.
Yeah. That could have been so much worse too. Oh my, imagine
Oh
right in the
yeah.
eye.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Right. The eye
God.
would have been awful.
Awful,
You're gonna be a
dude.
pirate for the rest of your life.
Mm.
Yeah. And I think they like you're saying, Matt, some of those bees will wait like if something jumps, I've seen them like if it's an attacking an animal or something, and the animal goes into the water, it will sit there, they will stay there for hours and wait for you to come out.
We just need
It's
to stay
something
away
with the
from anything that
pheromones, they
we just need to stay away from anything that swarms.
right.
You get
You know,
swarmed.
I'm more of an indoor human anyway, so
Snakes
you
don't
know.
swarm.
So wait, something about the pheromones?
Yeah, I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard it was something along the lines of like when one bee attacks, and I don't think these are all bees. But maybe it's just certain, like species of bees, but they'll sting and it'll leave a pheromone, and then the other bees from the nest smell it, and it tells them to, like the hive's in danger. Why don't you, like come out and attack? So next thing one bee stings you. Next thing you know, you see 50 of them, 100 of them, whatever. And I've seen videos where I've literally seen videos online where bees will something that got stung will jump in the water, and then you'll just see a swarm of bees just waiting right there at the water for it to come out of the water. And I mean, they wait for a while. It's not like, oh, give it 30 seconds. It's intense, dude. But
So
I think it's because they're scared that their hive is going to be, it's self-defense or whatever.
yeah, according
Oh,
to
and
the
then
Google AI, it says bees primarily attack to defend their colony from a perceived threat, such as someone getting too close to their nest, making a sudden movement, or emitting a strong scent that could be mistaken for a predator. When a bee
Yep.
stings, it releases a pheromone that signals other
Hey,
bees to join the attack, creating a chain reaction.
yeah,
For
intense.
the simple reason that you remember that it was a pheromone that they did that, 2 points to you, sir.
Thank you.
uh, actually, that's what happened with us was we didn't we did disturb their hive, but with ours, the reason why it happened was it was not a hive that we had disturbed. My best friend stepped on yellow jacket mounds that were in the ground, and
The
they're like
ground ones.
under the ground. And so they flew up from under, up all onto him. And then he took off his shirt, and then he had like all these bees all over him. And so then I took off my shirt to whack all the bees off of him, and then they flew all onto me.
God, dude. So you got
Yeah, and
punished
so
for
we were
being a
doing the
good
same thing. We
friend.
were doing the taking off our clothes and like trying to whack each other's bees off with
It's
our
scary.
shirts.
Have you guys ever
It
tried to
was,
kill ground wasps by boiling water and pouring it into the hive?
ew,
No.
what?
Oh yeah, I have. A little bit of a mistake on that one because what I didn't know at the time is that they actually have two holes. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
poured water into one, they came flying out of another and came
And
after me. I don't remember
and
getting stung from that, but ooh,
that's probably why they have two holes. So in case one's like,
one gets
there's
covered up, they
danger
can
at
get
one,
out.
they can get out. Yeah. Because remember a while back, Daniel, you were doing what was it? You were melting like metal and dropping it in the
Yes, I was doing aluminum into anthills.
aluminum. Yes.
Yes,
Imagine doing
exactly.
that in a ground wasp, nest or
I've
whatever.
seen people do that, and this was after I learned that. Like after having that experience myself, I did see someone actually do that. They did find the other hole to cover it up, and they poured aluminum down there, and it is wild. It's very similar to anthills, clearly, because what else are
Mhm.
you gonna do when you go underground? Like all you can do is build chambers. But like
Yeah.
it was still pretty wild to see like how big that nest was. Because I think it was like a 60 or 70 pounds of aluminum that they poured down there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was big. Like it was the size of like a decent sized like coffee table.
Wow. So they get very intricate down there, and
But it's a
yeah.
bigger animal too, right? And I mean like
Right.
aluminum like cans, not a lot of aluminum there. Aluminum solid, very much dense in comparison. So it's like you don't realize how big a pound of aluminum is only like this big, right? When you actually have it, but it's like 50 cans or something.
Yeah.
It's like the amount is different, but it's like people always think like aluminum's a light metal, and while it is, it's still heavy.
Right, it's still a metal, so,
Hmm.
it's so how does that work? Do most people just save their own, like, aluminum cans and melt them down themselves, or do they, like, how does that process work of
That's what I
acquiring
was doing.
aluminum?
But if people are actually trying to do like the art, the ink
Mhm.
art, and actually like go and pour it down the hills and stuff, they'll actually just buy just either junk aluminum from a scrapyard, or they'll just buy like chunks of aluminum melted down and pour it in there because the cost is negligible when you can have the pure aluminum and have it melt quicker, faster. Because like when you're doing cans, it takes forever. You have to put one can in at a time, and you have to sit there and wait. You have to burn off all the plastic and other bull crap that's toxic. It smells
Right.
smells amazing. Almost not ironically, it actually does have a very sweet smell to it, but it's like, that's a nice sweet smell. Kind of like antifreeze has a nice sweet smell. It's very poisonous though.
Right, it almost wants to lure you in, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Smelling a
very
permanent marker.
it's seductress like that. Um, but yeah, most people like if they're actually doing it like to sell, they will just buy chunks of aluminum. It's a little bit more expensive, but then they turn around and sell it for like a million times what like they'll buy $25 with aluminum and then sell something for like $300-400. So like that $25 investment
Oh,
is
right.
nothing to them. And then like the amount of money it costs for gas and like all the other pieces that they need to do that kind of stuff, it's negligible, like at a certain point.
But yeah, and it's very cool, very one of a kind artwork too. Because I mean, I'm sure not every single chamber underground is going to be the exact same as another one. It's all going to be a little bit different. So
All
that's pretty
unique.
unique. Yeah, absolutely. And how do you acquire? How do you take it out? Like get the actual cast out of the? How does
Oh,
that work?
it's great. You just dig it up.
You
It's
just
just
dig. You
shows
just
with a
dig
shovel.
around
Just
and then
like if
just
you're trying
clear
to
the dirt off.
just like if you're trying to transplant a tree or something, you just dig in a circle all the way around,
Okay.
and then you carefully lift it out. So like you dig like the way I do is probably different from most people because most people will actually just dig the entire thing out and lift it out. The way I do it is I dig like a little trench around the outside edge, and then I'll take my hose with the spray nozzle, the pressure nozzle on it, and just try to shoot off as much of the dirt off the aluminum so I can just pull the anthill out of the center, and like it's already like mostly cleaned off.
Oh,
You
sure. Okay.
you can actually watch it on my YouTube channel.
That is
You
a fair
can.
point.
Absolutely can. I've
um
watched the videos.
That was one of the first things you uploaded, wasn't it?
it I
One of
well I don't it was one of the first shorts I uploaded. Whether it was one of the
Sure.
more longer form things, I don't know, because I didn't do any of those long form. I did all those as shorts. A
That's
lot of
true.
fun. I want to do it again. Do you want to try doing it sometime?
Who's you, me or Scott?
No, Scott, he's here. You're not. Come, move down here first, then we can make one. Plus, I know how
Well,
much you like ants, so I didn't want to even offer that
that's what
to
I was
you.
gonna say is, I don't know if I would do that one because I've never really had a pet before, but when I move and finally get my own place later this year, my thought was I was gonna finally get my first pet of my own ant colony.
Cool. We'll find some
Nice.
ground
Okay.
wasps for you. You get some revenge. It'll be great. But yeah, Scott, do you want to come over sometime and do an anthill?
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. I've never done anything like that. I think it's very nice artwork, and I think it's also even cool just seeing how nature works down there, man. Like it's crazy. All you look at a simple anthill on the ground and don't realize how much work is being put into it below, and then all the workers, all the worker bees or ants, whatever we're talking about, taking care of the queen. It's a very it's wild to me just how nature works, and it's just based off of instincts, and they basically just born with that knowledge. It's wild to me, but short answer, yes, I would be interested in something like that.
For bringing up one of my hobbies, 1 point to Scott. All right, let's see. We've been at this for almost an hour. Shall we go ahead and call that an episode? I don't know what it
Sure.
turned into. It went from how would you feel about being able to remember everything to all the pain we had in our life to ant art.
Ant
To
hills.
ants, no, to ants, snakes, and bees.
Yeah.
All the
Right.
fun creatures of the world.
And I figured that this podcast would be this kind of way where we start off with one that I figured it would just be a crapshoot of whatever we're talking about, because we it's just I figured to be that way, kind of off the cuff, kind of random, and it
Yep,
just
random.
Oh,
transforms.
I hope
So
so, but
Tangential.
hey,
Tangential
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I was the host for this one. Who gets to be the host for the next one is determined by these points.
okay, the
Oh,
points that are made up and don't
So
matter.
exactly. So I hope you guys have a topic ready for us to talk about next because one of you won, one of you didn't.
You didn't even add the points up.
Oh, I
and
did.
if
I
it's
did.
a
I
tie,
have the points.
if it's ever a tie, does that mean we have to just keep talking till one of us gets more points?
That is up to whoever's running the show that day.
It's like a sudden death over time.
Yeah, sudden death overtime. Like that's if that's how you want to run it.
Yeah.
We could also flip a coin or first
Whoever
person
can,
to knock the other person out. We'll figure something out. Fight Club. We'll do Fight Club in the back room. It'll be great.
yeah, first person to name all the 50 states in alphabetical order backwards wins. Sure.
Alphabetical backwards. Do we have one that starts with Z?
Alphabetical.
We have one
All
that
right.
starts with Y.
Cool.
I mean,
Well,
there's Wyoming, but that doesn't start with Y. That starts with W.
yeah. All right. So are you guys ready to learn who won?
Let's hear it.
Yeah, okay. So, should I tell you the points? That's the real question. If you guys were keeping track, you would know who won right now. Unless, of course, I
You did
added it up
50
wrong.
points. You did 50 points for every bee sting we've had.
Exactly.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh my
So
goodness.
with 58 to 60, Scott, you got 60. You win. You get to host the next one.
Nice. Okay. By 2 points, and that
2
was
points.
It would have been an even 60 on the board. I lost 2 points for no, I lost 1 point.
Yeah, you lost 1 point.
For saying bad memory.
right.
I'd still be losing if I didn't lose the 1 point.
Hey,
You
at
can
least you didn't
thank
lose
that.
by 1 point.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
can thank that 50th bee that stung me instead of 49. You know. That was brutal. Seriously, like I joke and laugh about it, but that was like it's scary, dude. You know, like
I can only imagine. Again, stay away from anything that swarms. Like my ants will
Right.
swarm, but the thing is that they're in the ground. I'm pouring aluminum onto them. If they swarm at that point, we're having bigger issues. Like that means the
Right.
apocalypse is here, and the rest of the world just needs to be warned about these, aluminum resistant ants. Because it's what,
Yes.
700 degrees or something when it's going down the hole. Like that should kill any of
Mm.
those guys.
Yeah, they'll mutate to become immune to the aluminum in thousands of years. But no, that, and I think the worst part of the bee thing was that I had no idea the nest was even there. Like I could understand if I was like, oh, there's a nest, I'm still gonna mess around. But when it was completely out of the blue, it was like, sorry guys, I didn't know I was near your nest. Like I had no clue. My bad. Like so it was just out of the blue. That was the scariest part. Couldn't even plan for it. So whatever.
All right, here's the real question. Well, Matt, looks like you want to say something first.
Just that reminder that if ever I'm out in the woods with you two, if there's a snake, make sure I don't get bit by it because I had the 10 vials of antivenom. The doctor said that any future venom will have lost all of its efficacy, and that if I get bit again, I'm basically dead. So let's hope I don't have
You'll be
happen again.
fine. All right, so the real question is, to steal someone else's format entirely, do you want to do winners and loser speeches?
What?
Do you want to give a loser speech and Scott give a winner speech for this episode? Or should we not do that?
I remember this from a sports show. They kind of did that. It was what was it? Around the Horn. There used to be 4 people on an ESPN show, and they would give out points like that, and then the winner at the end would get to talk about whatever they wanted for like 30 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want if that's what you want to do. This is a hodgepodge of everything. We're just having fun with it until we figure out what this actually is.
I'm fine if he makes a winning speech. He won. He should get a speech.
Go for it, Scott.
Fine. All right.
Speech.
All right. Fine. I'll take 30 seconds to talk about something random I'd like to talk about. Okay. So
let's do it.
Okay, so back to the Super Bowl from last night. Very interesting. I am very surprised that the refs let the Chiefs win. If you guys know how the past, few games have gone. So I never would have guessed that the Chiefs would have lost in such a large fashion. Very surprising. Sorry to all the Swifties out there. You'll probably get your chance again next year. Revenge game for the Eagles. You couldn't write something like that. You know what I mean? So definitely not what I was expecting. Definitely, I don't think America was expecting that. Shout out Eagles. Shout out Swifties. You will be back in it in another point. Thank you.
Dude, very nice. And that's a wrap. Perfect memory, No thanks. Painful stories? We got quite a few. If you enjoyed the chaos, subscribe, review, and share. Got a wild story or topic for us? Leave a comment. We'll get to it soon. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.